Did you know that when you dance salsa, you're dancing as the chained slave did as they arrived in Cuba?
Do you think that Londoners on a night out realize that they are imitating an ancient act of African worship? Have you ever wondered how the tiny island of Cuba generates such a huge number of internationally acclaimed artists? So what is it? How does that work? What is the hidden African spark that ignites so much Cuban talent? It's the mysterious and thriving Afro-Cuban religion of Santeria. My name is Carlos Acosta and I am one of the principal dancers of the Royal Ballet. Perhaps some of you know my story. I grew up in a tough neighborhood in Havana and I am the youngest of 11 children. I'm not a religious man myself, but as an Afro-Cuban, I can take you to an uncharted and sensational dance journey. Together we trace how the religion of ancient Africa has provided us with some of the best moves of modern salsa and continues to provide us with some of the best music in the world. Traveling from London to West Africa to beautiful Havana, we learn how the slaves hid the religion of voodoo behind the slave master's Catholicism. Over the centuries, as the two became welded together, it needed a new name, Santeria. Dr. Hassan Arero is the curator of the African collection at the Huneman Museum in South London. I asked him, what exactly is voodoo? What does it offer the believer?
Voodoo is derived from a Benin word, and it means rest to draw water. And this represents a very holistic spiritual and physical well-being or balance, which is part of an African religious experience.
That sounds very gentle and rather sophisticated. How can a dance practice of Cuban Santeria reflect a religious philosophy of Cuban Africa?
There's no African ritual, there's no African gathering, whether it's social or cultural or ritual, that goes without music and dance. And I think Cuban voodoo is part of that African religion which lives through dance and which lives through that movement. Because movement and dance in Africa is a way of communing with the spirits, is a way of calling the spirits so that they're present.
This film will show you precisely those amazing and sometimes confrontational images. You'll see the faithful possessed by the African gods, and you'll see animal sacrifice. But these moments will be explained and placed in the wider context. For the first time, freed from fearful or colonial misrepresentation. You'll meet the best musicians in the world, hear the Grammy-winning music, and see how the ancient gods of Santeria inspired them and their audiences. And I will personally demonstrate to you the creative relationship between Africa and Cuba by the use of my own artistic discipline, dance.
Okay, so it goes like this. This is salsa. This is what you do on a Saturday night. You could see the footwork side to side, you know, the number 8 of the hips. Now this is son, another rhythm, a little bit more contained. Then it could be son montuno, which is also, and you could see the similitude from salsa and the son. Now we're going to Africa now. This comes from the Congo influences of the African slaves. It's called rumba. It's also a mixture with the Spanish music and dances. Then you move the shoulders and, well, you know how it goes.
You see, Cuba is my blood, my heart, my life. In this film, I want to show you the real Cuba. I want to free your mind from all the tourist brochure and show you why my people are so beautiful and so sexy. In Africa, you see me join in with some of the most beautiful and wildest African dancing in a religious ceremony. In Havana, you'll have the unprecedented sight of a classical ballet dancer learning Afro-Cuban in one of the most romantic dance spaces in the world. With the Afro-Cuban masters, I will unpack the DNA of Afro-Cuban dance and lay it out in front of you by my own practice and the clever use of 3D graphics. And finally, I'll introduce you to a successful British businesswoman who is about to take part in a demanding Santerian ceremony. With sensational access to an intensely private and ancient ceremony, we find out how an ancient Cuban religion will attract a modern British dancer.
Because above all, Santeria is a dance religion, and we all like to dance, don't we?
I'll conclude looking out of the serene beauty of Havana's Malecon, observing the lyrical, delicate beauty of African movement that is still visible in Cuban society.